We wish to thank our moderator and distinguished panelists. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed to session 4. This session will discuss on Islamic social finance instruments and strategies towards achieving sustainable development goals. Please welcome our moderator for this session, Managing Director Amanie Holdings and Honorary Secretary of Mercy Malaysia, Mr. Razi Pahlavi Abdul Aziz. Over to you, sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers of KLIFF, its sponsors and speakers, as well as the panelists all over the world. Our topic for this session is Islamic social finance instruments and strategies towards achieving sustainable development goals. We have a big challenge today, as these two broad areas, that is ISF and SDG, have a very huge ecosystem respectively, and we need to compress it within the 30 minutes of a session. Fortunately, we have two great panelists with us today who are not only the subject matter experts in their respective fields, but they are also the specialists to explain difficult subject in a very simple manner. So with us today is first panelist, Professor Dr. Engku Rabiah Adawiah Engku Ali from International Islamic Universities Malaysia, who is also a member of Shariah Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia and Securities Commission. And the second panelist that we bring all the way from Dubai, Mr. Houssam Chahine, who is the Chief of Private Sector's Partnership, MENA, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or UNHCR. Okay. So without further delay, I would like to invite Prof. Dr. Engku Rabiah to share her view on the subject. Over to you, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, our moderator, Mr. Razi, and my respected panelists, Mr. Houssam. So I have actually very limited time to actually talk about this topic. I hope you can now see my screen. Yes, okay. So basically, I'm being asked to talk about Islamic social finance instruments and strategies towards achieving SDGs. And I think some part of the topic actually has been touched a bit by the previous panel, where they talk about zakah and also fintech. So basically, when we talk about Islamic social finance instruments and strategies, and we talk about SDG, basically we talk about something which, to my mind, is having a common ground, because when we look at the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, it talks about social equity, environmental protection, and economic growth being taken care together in order to have lasting prosperity. And when we look at the basis of Islamic social finance, is about social-based financing or investment mechanism that seeks to promote not only economic well-being but also social well-being and also ecological balance. So we see that the pillars of SDG and also the philosophy and inherent philosophy of Islamic social finance are in line actually. But the addition that we see in Islamic social finance is about two other things, where Islamic social finance in it promoting economic well-being, social well-being, and ecological health, it also observes Sharia principles and also try to achieve the maqasid al-Sharia. So that's the additional part of it. And this addition actually is making the equation more beautiful, in my view. So basically, Islamic social finance has a lot of role actually to play towards achievement of SDG, and actually it is well positioned to contribute. And if we look at the SDG itself, it requires a lot of financing actually to finance its agenda. And if we look at the Muslim countries and Muslim population, we are among the most affected in terms of not having the SDG yet. Okay, like for example, the first SDG about no poverty. So we see 650 million out of 1.6 billion Muslim are actually on or below poverty line. So the most affected by not achieving SDGs are actually Muslim countries. In terms of financial inclusion, also we are actually among the worst in terms of access to financial services compared to the rest of the world. So if Islamic social finance is to contribute towards the achievement of SDG, we are actually not only helping people around the world, but more specifically, we are also helping the Muslims themselves. So when we look at the ISF or Islamic social finance instruments, there are actually traditional instruments and there are also modern instruments. When I talk about traditional Islamic social finance instruments, I'm referring to zakah, sadaqah, wakaf, kafalah. So these are actually more based on philanthropy and cooperation, mutual cooperation among the people. Whereas for the modern ISF, we see, for example, sustainable and responsible investment sukuk, Islamic microfinance, Islamic crowdfunding, takaful, and also recently we also heard about Islamic blended finance. So in its traditional form, I think Islamic social finance has proven itself now and again to have been able to provide relief to people in terms of the poor, the needy, in alleviation of poverty, putting food on the table. But if we were to combine and blend the traditional Islamic social finance with the modern Islamic social finance instrument, I believe that the impact and the effectiveness of Islamic social finance can be amplified in a bigger way. Okay. So to give you a view, a glimpse of the 17 SDGs, we have a lot there. So if we were able to empower Islamic social finance by blending it with effective instruments, I believe we will be able to achieve or contribute to achieve almost, if not all, of the 17 SDGs. So what I mean by empowering Islamic social finance, in order for it to get a better reach and impact, we need to actually blend the Islamic social finance instruments, the traditional as well as the modern ones, in such a way that there is a smart partnership together with technology in order to be more efficient and cost effective. And in doing so, definitely we need to be data driven. Where a lot of data will actually help us as to where and when intervention would be most appropriate. So the following slides that I have actually is to give some examples of how Islamic social finance can help and contribute to achieve the various SDGs. For example, if you look at the first and second SDG, no poverty and zero hunger, we see the estimates about the potential collection of zakah. It's a lot actually. If you look at the IDP data, it's about 600 billion would be available from the zakat collection. This is zakat alone, not talking about wakaf and also sadaqah and other forms of Islamic social finance. And if you look at the Washington Post, it can go up to 1 trillion globally in terms of the collection of zakah. So if we have this amount of money, actually there's a lot of things that we can do in order to provide relief to the people and achieve the first and second SDG. To give a simple example, we have the Zakat Foundation of America. They actually managed to provide meals, dry clothing, warm blankets to 20,000 and 30,000 refugees and immigrants using the zakat funds. In addition to that, we see where in 2017, an international zakat initiative has allowed for access to clean water as well as a sustainable cash crop to be developed and sustained in the worst affected community in Kenya, where they were very much affected by drought, and they have managed to use the zakat fund in actually to allow that community to plant a crop which can withstand and be resistant to the warmer climate at that region. And this was made possible through the intervention of technology, because they have big data analytics in terms of the kind of crops that will be suitable in that region, given the warmer climates over there. And then we have seen how the Islamic crowdfunding company in Indonesia was able to use the technology through the crowdfunding platform in order to reach to a lot of donation and collections to help the survivors of earthquake in Lombok, and they were able to help about 270,000 people affected by the earthquake. So you see here that the donations through sadaqah as well as zakah, when we do it in an electronic platform, you are able to reach bigger numbers and reach bigger number of people, bigger numbers of donors as well as recipients. We have also seen how when Islamic social finance instruments are combined with powerful fundraising instruments like sukuk, it can actually also be more impactful and have a better reach. For instance, we have seen the experience of the vaccine sukuk, where they have managed to raise $500 million in order to allow for vaccination program for the world's poorest countries. And the more recent example in Indonesia, where they have issued in March last year, the cash wakaf linked sukuk. So where they have cash wakaf linked to sukuk, and this allowed for the renovation and purchase of retina center at the hospital in the Banten province in Indonesia. So this was made possible by the wakaf donation by the people, and the coupon to the sukuk can be further used to provide free surgery services for the poor in the same hospital, as well as ambulance services. So this shows the combination of wakaf with sukuk, which allows for better collection as well as better reach to the people. Another example of combination of sukuk with ISF instruments is the experience of SRI Sukuk Ihsan in Malaysia, which allow for wakaf money to be collected to improve the accessibility of quality education in Malaysian government schools. What is interesting in this SRI Sukuk Ihsan is it is also tagged to a KPI. So basically, subject to the achievement of the KPI, the return to the sukuk holder will be adjusted accordingly. With regards to SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, we have seen a number of SRI sukuk being issued, and as we have seen, SRI sukuk is one of the modern ISF instruments. So we have seen how they have managed to facilitate the funding of mechanisms to provide cleaner energy sources through solar panels and solar generation, through electricity through the solar source. And we have seen also how in Indonesia, we see how the zakat fund is blended together with funds from a local bank. And this actually allow for a bigger fund that has been used to finance the construction of 4 micro hydropower plants, which provide much needed access to electricity to over 5,000 people in the Jambi province of Sumatra. Okay. So these are examples, and if we look at the experience of Islamic microfinance, another very powerful Islamic social finance tool, an instrument, how Islamic microfinance was able to reach to the otherwise underbanked or unbanked people in order to help them to build up their business and make them more successful entrepreneurs. One such initiative, for example, in Pakistan, we see Ahwat, the Islamic Microfinance Initiative, to provide Islamic microfinance to the poor and needy. And we see also in Malaysia how Agrobank, in collaboration with Bernas, have launched the initiative to improve productivity of paddy and farmer standards of paddy farmers living in Malaysia. And they provide not only the working capital but also technical consultation. The most recent one perhaps would be the experience of Bank Islam in Malaysia, where in November last year, they have launched the Bangkit Microfinance Facility. And what is interesting is basically the source of funding for the Bangkit Microfinance is the donations of Sadaqah in the Sadaqah House, which has been set up by Bank Islam as a charity crowdfunding platform. And from this charity crowdfunding platform, they have Sadaqah money, and this Sadaqah money is used to provide interest-free loans to the unbanked and underbanked micro entrepreneurs in order to have capital stepped up to expand their business and also to start their business. And by having this credit facility, they will be able to have a credit record, and that would hopefully qualify them for future financing. In addition to the financing, the customers will also be provided with structured entrepreneurship training to ensure business sustainability. So these examples actually show that if we were to have a blending between Islamic social finance instruments with other sources of funding, for example, in a full-fledged Islamic blended finance, we see that we can blend not only the sources from parental fee, the Islamic social finance sources, we can blend it together with government funding through grants, guarantees, and technical assistance, and also from private sector fundings like the social impact investors, commercial banks, and combine these fundings to fund sustainable development agendas and projects. So the way forward basically is to have a smart partnership and collaboration between Islamic social finance and other sources of fund. And this smart partnership and collaboration should be driven by data and technology, and with proper planning in order to avoid redundancy and over-concentration, as well as to allow for better diversification of the fund and also utilization of the fund. So with that, in conclusion, I believe with clear value proposition, as well as smart strategies, policies, and actions, Islamic social finance will have a positive impact on economy, community, and environment in line with the 17 SDGs laid out by the United Nations. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's very insightful presentation, and it's very interesting to know from your research on how technology plays a vital role in promoting and also processing the ISF in achieving the SDG goals. Yeah. So with us today also we have two companies that are doing the providing the IT platform for you to pay zakat. This company, Toulouse and Beripay, they are very well positioned to undertake a very strong and big task to assist the growth of zakat payment. So thank you again for Toulouse and Beripay to be with us today. So my next session will go straight to Mr. Houssam. Mr. Houssam, the UNHCR has been successfully spearheading the ISF in recent years. You are among the people who has made this successful, and you are the core person to actually undertake a very monumental role, not only to introduce something new, but to promote ISF in the ecosystem of UNHCR that relatively we know in the history has been predominantly funded by conventional way of financing and funding. So perhaps you may want to share with the rest of the audience today, coming from the rest of the world, everywhere, they would like to know what would be the key success factors, and what would be the best formula that you have gone through under your stewardship and leadership promoting the ISF in the UNHCR. Over to you, Mr. Houssam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Razi, and thank you for KLIFF for having me today. And I really enjoyed what the professor provided already. So that saves me a lot of introduction as well on Islamic social finance. And the panel before, I was so happy to hear a lot of innovation on technology and fintech specifically, which is, I believe, is the way forward, Razi. Just to start with, I just suggested to start it with the logo of UNHCR, because I believe we are still, as of course we are talking about the SDGs today is very relevant to the UN in general. But when it comes to Islamic social finance, I think we are still as a startup, and I think we should continue to be as a startup. It's not going to be our core business, but it's going to be a platform that we collaborate and smartly partner, as the professor said, with local and regional partners, to make sure that any tool we work on with partners in the region or globally, from zakat to takaful to waqf to sadaqah to suquq to qarid hasan and any other innovative tool through technology, I think should be done through partnership with the local knowledge, the local expertise, and the UN will be kind of a facilitator, whether UNHCR or other UN agencies, leading to the SDGs. And I'm so happy about the title, in a way, of the umbrella of the conference this year. And just to say, maybe, so that why did we start talking about the story, Razi, which I think you personally know a little bit because we spoke about this before. But today, actually, we have 80 million displaced people all around the world. And these are just quick figures. But maybe a huge country of 80 million who are displaced cannot be disregarded or cannot be ignored. Specifically, and on this platform, I would like to say that around 60% of refugees specifically are Muslims or from Muslim countries. That is alerting. That is why the organization in UNHCR, we started talking about Islamic social finance and how for us to be a facilitator of any funding going through Islamic social finance to help refugees around the world, but as well in OIC countries where they are in dire needs. Colleagues before spoke about poverty alleviation and spoke about a lot of problems in our countries. And I'm coming from the Middle East, as you know, Razi, but I think the refugee situation has been not in the highlight for a very long time, but unfortunately in the last 10 years there has been a lot of focus on the displacement situation because of the crises we're having, not only in the Middle East but as well in some places like in Asia. One indicator was added, just to add a little bit. This is the main slide we're using, I think all of us, but maybe just to add that on the displacement situation, there has been a new indicator that was added in 2019, specifically on the reduced inequalities. And this focuses on the displacement situation, how we as an international community, we need to focus on solving up or try to facilitate the solutions because of lot of not only migration but refugees and internally displaced people need a lot of support, and not only support and humanitarian support, but as well as development. I think part of the future is how we work not only as UN but with social society organizations, NGOs, and governments all around the world, and philanthropists, to provide long-term solutions for those people who cannot go back to their homes. Just maybe a few areas focusing still on the SDGs. On the displacement situation, there are few problems, I mean many problems, but few problems that I chose today just to highlight a little bit from the context we are talking about. Poverty, hunger, health, and education that is becoming more and more challenging for displaced children, just highlighting that more than 60% or 50% of refugees are children and women. And yesterday we just celebrated the International Women's Day, and maybe this is a cry out in a way today, just to say that women are the lead on their families when it comes to taking care of their children in displacement situations, to provide not only food and basic support that they need, basic necessities, but as well as education. Work and development and skill development is very important, not only in a normal situation when it comes to poverty, but as well on for displacement situation. Peace, justice as strong institutions. This is mainly the main umbrella, because at the end of the day, whatever we do at the humanitarian organizations, we will not be able to solve the political issues. The refugee situation, the displacement situation is really a political and peace issue that should be sorted out. Why UNHCR is talking about Islamic social finance? I have to say that in 2012, we started the conversation internally, and only in 2016, but then in 2019, we started publicly and with our partners talking about Islamic social finance. The main program that we are working on with our partners globally is Zakat. Why Zakat? Because as I mentioned, more than 60% of refugees and displaced people are from OIC countries, and they meet at least 4 of the criteria when it comes to Zakat beneficiaries. This is every refugee or displaced person. Usually they are poor, they are in need, they have debt when they leave their countries or their villages or their homes, and the wayfarer or stranded travelers. And of course we can discuss, I'm not a Sharia expert, but I think we can discuss as well if there's any other criteria. That's why we're talking about Zakat. In 2016, we acquired a few through our partners. We acquired a few fatwas to be a distributor of Zakat. So just to highlight the current situation, Razi and colleagues, what we do at UNHCR is to make sure that we are the bridge between the philanthropist, the muzakki, and people who are receiving zakat, who are in need. As UNHCR, we make sure that the money that is distributed, and we're talking about, alhamdulillah, we're talking about $62 million in 2020. Of course, this is mainly from individuals, mainly from some high net worth individuals, but a lot of people who trusted us to deliver their zakat on the field. But the main focus actually that we want to move forward, as Professor said, it's really partnerships. We're not aiming to be a collector of zakat. What we're aiming at is to be distributors for zakat. We want to complement each other with the humanitarian players and charity NGOs and institutions, to make sure that when they cannot reach, and we have reach as UN agencies in the field, in the ground, when a lot of places are difficult to reach by usually humanitarian players, we are happy to do that, and vice versa. We want to play a role of making sure that the impact of zakat is growing, but not only that, but to make sure that the zakat giving is highlighted from the Muslim countries and from the Muslim philanthropists and from individual Muslims who are like you and I are interested to deliver zakat in the right hands in a very trusted way. The Refugee Zakat Fund is a platform, again, that is we worked on it to be trusted. we try to distribute zakat in a very transparent way, and I can talk about this more, but we are compliant. Currently we have 7 fatwas from all over the world, and it is on our that we can distribute zakat again, and these fatwas are on our zakat page, zakat.unhcr.org. Everybody can check it out with the fatwas signed, all of this, and why. And it is effective. I have to say that because we are currently focused on distributing cash to families. And why cash? Because as I mentioned a minute ago, mainly women are taking care, mothers are taking care of their families. And from myself, I trust my wife more to spend the money, how she managed the money at home. So I think we all agree that mothers are in a very good place to take care of their families and children. So that's why we try to give the minimum needed or part of the minimum needed amount for these families from Muzakkin, cash through ATM, through iris scan technologies, and through different ways. In now we have around 10 countries where we distribute zakat in, and we try to help them to live, if I may say, in more dignity, through give them the choice and the chance to decide on what are the priorities for their children and families. And of course, we work with partners to make sure that the program is monitored. We do have field visits usually, of course, before Corona, but now we try to do this digitally. We do have checking on the distribution of zakat, how the money is going. And one main point I would like to add is that as UN agency, we don't take any overhead. Because we believe we're not eligible to. What we believe in is that we are just a bridge between any organization, any muzakki, or any business who would like to get their zakat out to the beneficiaries. So we're just a bridge again, and we can guarantee that 100%, including the digital cost, we cover it ourselves. So if there is even a digital donation that usually credit card or payment gateways take, we cover it ourselves. And that took us, I have to say, a lot of internal work on change of policy and convincing. As you can imagine, it's not very easy to do the even the internal change for such very maybe for a lot of colleagues very basic program, but for us, for a UN agency, it can be very innovative or seen as very innovative. Just maybe I'm almost done, Razi. I think I have a couple of minutes, but very quickly, we do what we notice is that beneficiaries are spending the money that we distribute on rent, food, healthcare, and debt, which make, I think, a lot of sense for situations where you have people in need in these major areas. But I have to say that the needs are still very big, and there is a huge place and space for any philanthropist or any organization to play that role. And I think I'm focusing, of course, on zakat now, but the Islamic social finance atmosphere is really big, and we're just learning, and we're happy to partner with any of a lot of talent and knowledge, especially in Malaysia. And I'm very happy to have any conversation and or take advice from any of the colleagues who participated before on how we make this bigger for the sake of refugees. I mean, rising from just over 1 million beneficiaries in 2019 to 1.6 million now in 10 countries, as I mentioned. And the secret, I have to say, just going back to your original question, Razi, very quickly, we started from the field. We didn't start from headquarters change policy. We started with champions from colleagues on the field in Jordan specifically. They needed a lot of money for refugees, and they didn't have enough enough contributions, even governmental contributions. So they championed the zakat program in Jordan, and this is how it started. So sometimes these kind of programs better, especially in big organizations, it's better to start from down up in a way. And this is, I think, how policy change and how mindset change. On that note, I would like to stop. And thank you very much again for the opportunity, and happy to try to answer any question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Houssam. Well, we don't have much time now, so I go straight. I have reduced to two quick questions. I think perhaps one for Prof. Engku, another one for you, Houssam. The first one, can zakat be a substitute to a loan when it comes to giving an initial capital to start a business as a way to eliminate poverty? In return, the recipients needs to provide the zakat institution on necessary reporting to ensure transparency on whether the fund is used solely to start a business. Yes, Prof, over to you. How do you look at it?
Okay, thank you very much, Razi, and also the person who asked the question. I think this is a very relevant question. We have seen how zakat institution has been distributing financial assistance to various needy and poor people. So it is actually more effective, I think, as suggested by the person who asked, that that zakat can also be used to help the poor person to become an entrepreneur. Just to give you an example, we have recently in the Majlis Agama Islam Wilayah Persekutuan, they are talking about asnafpreneur. Basically, the asnaf will become entrepreneur. Okay, so in order to be more effective in doing so, the necessity of to work in partnership and in collaboration is very important. So zakat institution have to work together with other NGOs or other maybe microfinance institution who have the expertise to actually help the would-be entrepreneur to have the technical know-how about doing their business. For example, I've given the example of the Bangkit Microfinance by Bank Islam. What they are doing now, they give as Qard Hasan from their donation. So if the zakat authority can work, for example, with Bank Islam in the same microfinance scheme, but for the zakat recipient, they are not having it as Qard Hasan. It's going to be a zakat distribution, so they don't have to pay it back. But the technical know-how under the Bangkit scheme, they give business training, they give some kind of hand-holding to the would-be entrepreneur so that they will be successful in the business in a sustainable way. So if you tag along the asnafpreneur with this kind of institution, that they will handhold this asnafpreneur so that they will be successful, that will be good. So they will know how to report, how to do their financial statement. So the zakat authority will be having more information as to the actual impact, that how the seed capital that they give to the asnafpreneur is able to make them successful in their business. So I agree that this is possible to have zakat money as a capital for the asnaf to actually become an entrepreneur. But it's not just by giving money to them, but also by initially have some kind of hand-holding with them, and then build them up until finally they can be successful and can be a zakat contributor at the end rather than zakat recipient. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Okay, just one last minute for one last question for Brother Houssam. Okay, it is interesting to know that you are giving 100% of the zakat money straight to the beneficiaries. This is mind-blowing. This is perhaps the first time I heard from an agency, and this is very good. So the market and financial institution, like the banks, financial institution all over the world, especially the Islamic banks, okay, perhaps they would like to know how they can be a partner to UNHCR under the umbrella of ISF to support the UNHCR project worldwide.
Very, very important question, Razi. And we try to broaden our network on partnerships with Islamic social finance projects, and currently we're working to as focus on zakat, of course, but on sadaqah jariyah. Maybe even in the slides you saw that we're trying to specify some projects specifically in Africa on sadaqah jariyah, as well on sadaqah in general, and Ramadan is coming soon, inshallah, and there will be a lot of opportunities to work together on the spot or even planned. But I have to say that our team in Asia is very ready to explore any possibility of partnership. Even we're talking now about, we're learning and talking about potentially of waqf for refugees. So any potential to learn new innovative ways to work together with banks, with Islamic banks, with Islamic institutions, to learn from them. We're ready to have conversation anytime, and they will find that we have open heart and open mind to do that. And I'm happy to connect them with our colleagues in Asia specifically to discover, or globally if it's a global project. But we do have a very professional team, a small one, but who knows about Islamic social finance and willing to learn and listen and add value, hopefully, to any new partnerships for refugees all around the world. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the financial institution and potential partners here in Malaysia and Asia, we look forward to meeting your team and yourself perhaps one day. Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to have everyone here to listen to these two great panelists that have shared a lot of wisdom and also experience in a very short period of time. So I'd like to thank you again, Prof. Dr. Engku, as well as Mr. Houssam, for giving your insight. So with that, again, I thank you, everyone, and thank you again to our organizer for having us today. Over to you, MC. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Chahine Shariah Advisory provides a one-stop center for Islamic finance advisory services. Online bookstore, iqrakitab.com.my makes it easy for you to get and read on our publication. Sukuk Contracts in Islamic Capital Market, Sharia and Legal Analysis was our inaugural publication. Chahine has been appointed as an education partner for AOFI and CBFI. Chahine provides high-quality Islamic finance professional training programs tailored to meet professional development needs and the requirements of the new norm. Chahine is your one-stop Islamic finance solutions, are ready, agile, and committed to fulfill your business requirements and development.
Kepesatan ekonomi membuatkan anda merasa bimbang dengan status kewangan anda. Perbelanjaan yang sentiasa meningkat. Ingin mendapatkan pendapatan sampingan? Jadilah cyber planner dan dapatkan ganjaran-ganjaran yang menarik. Bagaimana? Sekiranya anda berumur 18 tahun ke atas, ikuti 3 langkah mudah untuk 3 ganjaran hebat. Lawati www.hlmtserve.com dan daftarkan akaun anda. Anda akan menerima pautan rujukan unik melalui email. Kongsikan pautan rujukan kepada rakan dan keluarga. Mudah bukan? Inilah ganjaran hebat yang menanti anda di Cyber Planner. Voucher RM20 untuk pendaftaran baru. Untuk setiap permohonan yang berjaya, anda akan mendapat 10% daripada sumbangan takaful tahun pertama yang terkumpul. Tetapi tunggu, ada lagi. Ganjaran bulanan tambahan sehingga 20%. Jangan lepaskan peluang ini. Daftar hari ini dan dapatkan lebih banyak ganjaran dengan Cyber Planner dari Hong Leong MSIG Takaful. Just share it lah. Dibawakan oleh Hong Leong MSIG Takaful. Pengendali takaful pilihan anda.
Your loved ones mean the world to you. It's time to secure their future with a lasting legacy. This is made possible with Legacy Secure iLink. To understand how it works, let's take a look at Adam. Adam is 45 years old. He has 2.5 million ringgit in property and assets. as well as 2.5 million ringgit in cash. His current total net worth is 5 million ringgit. Adam sets aside an annual contribution of 187,600 ringgit for the next 5 years into Legacy Secure iLink. His total contribution will be 938,000 ringgit. After making his first contribution, he instantly creates a 4 million ringgit legacy. Legacy Secure iLink has increased his current total net worth to 8.8 million ringgit. Should anything happen to Adam, his loved ones can have quick access to his legacy. With the power of Hibah, the money can also be swiftly transferred to his beneficiaries within 8 working days with minimal legal hassle. What's more, Legacy Secure iLink comes with many other benefits. It protects against death and total and permanent disability with at least 500,000 ringgit basic sum covered. Additional coverage up to 2 times of basic sum covered will be provided on top of the death benefit if there is an unfortunate accidental death up to 8 million ringgit per participant. Adam will be rewarded with a 2% increase of his initial basic sum covered of 4 million ringgit every 2 certificate years until the end of the 10th certificate year. This in turn also increases his legacy. Even better, no medical checkup is required for basic sum covered of up to 4 million ringgit upon enrollment. On top of that, it allows for flexibility in choosing the contribution term and the certificate term. Legacy Secure iLink is the absolute best way to preserve your family's financial well-being for generations to come. Talk to our bank's sales representative today.